and we've talked about the governance arrangements. Going forward, Mark's going to be joining us, and we're going to get into delivery of our closing the gap plan. So I think more conversations for us to have as a board as we go through. You see the cancer improvement plan and the RTT improvement plan over the last 2 meetings. Great to see the improvements that are underway, and kind of great to see the connections across academies. We saw the histopathology programme in F&P and the work that's going on, and I know we talked about it as part of the Quality Academy discussions. So performance remains strong against our peers. That's not to say we can't be doing better, and we do talk about that in the academy. One of the risks that has been added to the high level risk register is the delayed discharges to care. You see it talked about in Mel's paper. That risk seems to be a significant risk for us, and it's talked about on a number of occasions. The impact delayed discharges are on our performance. I'm not going to pull anything out of the report. Just one shout out to Matthew, finance team, the most improved team in the country as part of the National Staff Service. I was second last year, first this year. You know, great, well done to Matthew and his team. I know that work's not just been a quick piece of work, it's been a sustained piece of improvement, but great to see. You've got the minutes of the 2 meetings, so they're the only things I wanted to pull out, Sarah.
Okay, thanks, Julie. Any questions or comments for Julie? It's a great report, and congratulations. Can we minute that congratulations, Tabitha? To your finance team, that's absolutely fabulous. Okay, so with that, I'll move to Brian for the report from the Audit Committee.
Thank you. Again, take as read, just briefly highlight some issues from the Audit Committee. We received the external audit plan from the auditors and understood from them their areas of focus, and you can see in the report the areas of their focus and why they're going to do that. Received an internal audit report. We was lingo over the low assurance ratings. You'll see there's one on medical records there, and you can also read why the auditors recommended it was a low assurance rating. And Paul was able to give some context to that and some of the natural difficulties. This trust being no different to many of those in terms of meet the standards, and assured us that he would work with internal audit and colleagues in other organisations to respond to the recommendations. Previously, I may have said that we were slightly concerned about the follow-up of internal audit recommendations in the trust. Matthew's done some work with the internal auditors, and we're now assured that the process is going forward. And probably the major things that I was going to mention are actually already covered on the agenda, one being the data quality issues, which have already been covered earlier, and the compliance with the provider licence, which we'll be talking about later, so I'll hop over that.
Yeah. All right, that's great. Any questions for Brian? Okay, thank you. Now the next paper we're going to take as read, which is the report from the Charitable Funds Committee. I wasn't in attendance at that meeting, and Altaf is here today to report back. One item that we do need to approve, though, is the charitable funds terms of reference. So I'll look to Laura just to help us on that.
Yeah, thank you. So we've done the review as we would normally do on an annual basis. There are some minor amendments proposed. It's mainly around the membership of that committee. I think reflecting the paper we've got later on the agenda, so it changes that membership to 3 non-executive directors and clarifies that one of those NEDs will be the chair of the committee.
Okay. Is everybody happy to approve that terms of reference, Brian?
At the committee we discussed, or I discussed to everyone's annoyance, I thought the terms of reference were less than clear about the distinction between the corporate trustee and the role of the committee, which is described as the trustees. And I don't think in the meantime I need to clarify that. And I think Laura says that that wording could be improved to make that distinction clearer.
Okay, Okay, so can I suggest that offline we look at that wording and check it back with yourself to see if we've got that clarity? Would that?
That's
that
fine,
be
because I'm
okay?
now on the committee, which I wasn't at the time.
Yeah. Okay, so if we do that, so can we take it approval in principle with that one clarification being resolved? Yeah, okay, all right, thank you, everybody. Report from the chair, again, I'm going to take that paper as read. I'm happy to take any questions. You'll notice that the report is very kind of internally focused at the moment, and that's because I haven't had the chance to go out and meet all our partners and key stakeholders. Those meetings are going in the diary, so hopefully over time this report will change a little bit to be a bit more inclusive of our partners in there. So just bear with me as I kind of get my feet under the table and get up to speed, but happy to take any questions. Okay, with that, I'm going to turn to Mel for the Chief Exec's report.
Thanks, Chair. Probably a now familiar format in terms of addressing the priorities of our strategic plan: patients, people, partners and place. Under place, we capture not only what happens in Bradford District and Craven, but the national scene as well. So there's quite a comprehensive report there of what's happened since we last met and what's happening now. And I'm happy to take questions.
Okay. Any questions from them? Okay. What we've also included, and again, it's about pulling the reports up so they're in our eye line. You've got the integrated dashboard, the finance report, and the performance report. So, do any of those report authors want to add any comments or take as read? I know they've been scrutinised by committees.
Just to highlight, we promised last time we met as a board we'd have a different format for the integrated performance dashboard. So we've got that now in terms of SBC room charts, different keys when you kind of understand, get your head around the keys, quite helpful, but it is on its flag, still a work in progress in terms of the content. But I think a significant improvement on previous version of this.
Yeah. Did you want to add anything?
No, I mean, that's exactly right. That is the summation. The other thing in the context of colleagues unfamiliar with the methodology is that you and I had a conversation about how we dovetail that into the board development program. So there's a dedicated session on the making data count methodology, SBC charts, and the general use of data intelligence and insight in the organisation.
Yeah.
The only other that's lacking, and I use that in inverted commas this time round, but again, it isn't a surprise, is that ostensibly the narrative that the information or the data points inform an interrogation and an analysis, and that's a piece of work that we've got to get into in more detail with colleagues responsible for each of the areas of the business to be able to explain what has occurred, what will be happening to either recover a position or to continue to improve on the baseline that's identified in the analysis.
Yeah. I think that said, I think we should note explicitly the high performance in the trust and the fact that we delivered a surplus at the end of the financial year, so we should explicitly record that in the minutes. It's fantastic. So well done to everybody involved. Okay. Right. Roller skates on, aren't we now? So, Laura, high-level risks.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll just run through briefly the changes that have been made to the high-level risk register since the last board meeting. 3 new risks have been accepted onto the high-level risk register, all at a score of 16. So one relating to workforce within non-surgical oncology, the potential impact on delays to treatment. Another one around delayed discharges to adult social care, which we've already referred to. And the third one is on the closed board risk register, so we'll touch on that in the closed board meeting. One risk has been closed, and that's relating to staff following the correct process for recording activity on EPR. So that one's been closed down, as we've previously talked about this, and a new risk assessment has been developed, or is being developed. to reflect the current context, because I think that risk was initially raised quite a while ago when EPR was first introduced at the Trust. There have been 3 changes in risk score. So one risk score has increased relating to histopathology, again, which we've already talked about. That's increased from 16 to 20. And 2 have decreased relating to industrial action due to the current position there, but obviously that will be, we'll keep on monitoring that, and it may be increased depending on what happens going forward. And then relating to the security service, given the recruitment that's taken place within that team, that score is reduced from 15 to 9. We had 2 risks which were past the review date in March, but none in April. So that's all being addressed. Yeah, I think that was everything I wanted to highlight. Any questions?
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment on the EPR one. It's not uncommon as soon as an EPR is turned on for the lump of responsibility around how it then is operated to be transferred to the COOs. It's how in reality, there's an awful lot of time has moved since that period, and it's fairer now to say, rather than what you would have been reflected as a stabilisation period, that we really now should be looking in earnest at an optimisation programme, because they're very different phases of the life cycle of using a new technology. So it's not to say that we believe that there isn't more improvement to be developed and delivered around the use of the EPR, but it's to say that you need to look at that now through a lens of 7 years on, not 7 weeks on effectively. So that's why Sally and I have discussed the fact that that's the right way to do it. The delivery of a programme to ensure that we are optimising will be multifactorial and involve probably all of the directors around the table appreciably. So that's the piece of work that we're now developing in our laboratory.
Okay, that's great. Thank you, Karen. Thanks. Just in relation to risk number 35, which is around it's the downgrading of the risk because we've got additional security. I think it's worth noting that in the last few weeks since this paper has been done, we have seen an increase in significant incidents in A&E. So one involving an assault on a member of staff, and a separate one an assault on a patient. And this needs to be fully risk assessed and additional work done on that. So this was the risk around the actual number of people. So this is a significant risk around escalation of incidents, both the number and the severity of. So that will be reflected next time.
Yeah, okay, that's great, thank you. All right, I'll move on to the next item, which is for approval. So, as you know, since I took up role, I've been looking at the way we work as a trust in terms of how our meetings function and who's attending those meetings. And I have some changes that I wanted to make, which have been circulated around with non-exec directors and exec directors. So here's the formal paper proposing the subcommittee membership of non-execs on our various committees and academies. It's also proposing areas where non-exec directors will lead, and they're either areas where mandatory we need to have a named lead within the trust, or they are areas of particular focus for us, so we want to kind of lead, champion, advocate for them. And so those are in the packs for approval. Happy to take any questions. Louise?
Yeah, it was just, so this isn't a personal thing, because I think that the places that I've been allocated are a very good fit for me, so I'm very happy with those things. But I suppose it was just, I did raise it in the email, just a conversation really, choices were made and moving people around committees. Obviously there's pros and cons, isn't there, to kind of consistency and also moving around, and we had that chat this morning.
Yeah. So I mean, my first, from a consistency point of view, was to keep the chairs the same. The only difference I've been Altaf is stepping into the chair where he was a deputy chair before, and that's because I don't think it's appropriate for me to be on that committee for the future changes that are coming up. And then it was it was looking at just a mix of people and rotating people, giving people fresh experiences. So, you know, I do believe as non-execs we should work across all the committees as we go and rotate round. And then when I was looking at the leads, it was, if it was a fit, then let's seize that opportunity and match the skill set. And so particularly with the buddies as well. So for example, yourself, Buddy and McGray, makes sense in terms of the university link around medical education. So where there was logic, I applied the logic, and where there wasn't a logic point, I just tried to be fair to everybody. Okay?
Yeah. Karen. Thank you. I just noticed on the additional roles, we do have a net champion at the moment for end of life care. And I know the team really appreciate that.
Okay.
So, and I think they will want that to continue. It's a commitment of once a quarter to meet the team.
All right. I wasn't aware of that, Karen. So let me pick that up. End of line.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or queries?
Freedom to speak up, need a second, he comes in the other.
Right. Okay. All right. So we take that paper as approved. Okay, thank you. And then come into effect with immediate point. The next paper is back to the charity. Laura, supplemental deed.
Yeah, so at the last board meeting, I think board members will recall, we the board gave approval to incorporate Bradford Hospitals charity as an independent charity. When we were going through the due diligence, we were advised by our legal support to amend the governing document for the charity to include an express power to incorporate the charity. And we need to do that before we actually formally go through that process and change the status of the charity. It doesn't commit us to doing anything, it just gives us that ability to do that when the time comes. So the board is asked to approve a supplemental deed, which will amend the charity's governing document, and that's attached to Appendix 1. This has also been reviewed through the Charitable Funds Committee, and they were supportive of the amendment.
Okay, any questions? Laura? My question was who's going to sign it on behalf of the trust?
So it's a director and a witness. I think previously Matthew has signed it when there's been changes to the document.
Are you happy to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, are we happy to approve that supplementary deed? Okay, thank you. And then Paul, we've got the date.
Don't jump.
Okay, hopefully,
I
yeah.
was trying to get some, why does the tractor always drive past as soon as you open the window? Yes, so the DSPT, so effectively a standard assessment across a whole range of elements and dimensions, from cybersecurity through to information governance, information asset owners, etc., etc. The only thing to update in relation to, since the paper was prepared, we have now had Audit Yorkshire's final report, and their overall assessment is that the risk rating is substantial, but the assurance level is high. It's to, I think it's because the board cycle and the point at which we published this out to NHS colleagues was to ask for the authority to be delegated to me in this context to ensure that the final product is published in the time. So that's ostensibly why it's there, sir. If colleagues have any desire to sort of delve in more forensically to line items, the version that you've got currently is the in progress one, which is why there's so many yellow highlighted components and elements to it. The guillotine point for things like levels of training is allowed to run up right to the 30th of June.
Yeah, okay. Are you happy with the progress being made at the moment?
Yeah, and actually, as I say, because we've now confirmed, we've had the confirmatory report from Colgate and Audit Yorkshire, I'm even more happy that we're in a position where they will be giving the audit committee a highly assured opinion in relation to progress and status.
Okay, okay. So you're looking for us to approve in principle, but final delegated authority to sign.
That's correct.
To sign. Okay. Any questions, colleagues? Are we happy to approve? Yeah. Okay, thank you, Paul. Right, any other business for this meeting that people want to raise? No, okay. Any issues that we need to refer back to academies or anything? I don't think there has been, has there? And again, colleagues, I'd appreciate your views after the meeting, because obviously we changed the order of the agenda a bit here. And so if that's worked for people, let me know. If you think there's areas where we need to just change our focus and emphasis, then again, let me know. Okay, I am working on the papers to try and pull them together a bit better, but you know, it's a bit of an iterative process that we're going through, isn't it, Will? So living the dream. So, okay, with that, I'll close this board meeting. Okay, thank you, everybody.